Did you know that you can effectively pre-decide your calm? You can pre-decide feeling more calm, being in a more calm state. You absolutely have that ability and that power. Whenever you practice your response to some of the most common stressors in your life, you are effectively building your response power, building your response muscle, so that when those stressors present themselves, you are quicker, more efficient, and more effective in your response to stress. The reality is that stress, feeling stressed out, narrows options for us. It can lead to a feeling of panic and restriction, but pre-decision, practicing how you will respond, allows you to respond automatically without the cognitive load, without the panic of having to figure out what to do, because the response is so practiced that it's automatic, or it becomes automatic. This is no different than anything else that you practice for the purpose of getting better at it. So whether we're talking about something physical, such as a sport, where you may practice to get better at it, this is the same idea. Practicing your response to some of the most common stressors in your life will allow you to essentially master that response and make it quicker, better, and more effective as a result. This is a very simple practice. To begin, you have to list, let's say, 5 of the most common stressors that you encounter in your life, or maybe that you encounter throughout the day. And then write out a list of responses, one for every stressor, one for every trigger. If this trigger happens, then I will respond in this way. Be very specific. Get started by building your set, by listing the 5 most common stressors in your life or in your day, and organize your list in a if-then fashion. If this stressor happens, then I will do the following to combat that stressor. And of course, your response to the if, your then, could be things such as standing up and moving your body around, or doing some breathing exercises, or closing your eyes for a minute and just getting into a calmer meditative state. Whatever the quick fixes that you have in your stress management toolkit are appropriate for that stressor. And believe me, none of this is written in stone, so that if you write out an if-then statement for a specific stressor, but the action that you choose to do is not the most effective, you can change it and practice the new response, the new action that you can take to reduce that stressor, to deal with that stress in your life, that particular stressful situation. Let me give you an example. Your statement could say something like, if I get tense in traffic, or if my heart starts to race in traffic, I will then take 6 deep, slow breaths. Remember, if you're driving, don't do anything where you would have to close your eyes or not pay attention to driving. Always make sure you pick safety first, so we have to use our heads there. Another one could be, if I start doom scrolling, you know how detrimental social media can sometimes be when you get into the doom and gloom of things. So your statement could be, if I start doom scrolling, then my response is by closing down the app and doing some breathing exercises, or closing down the app and closing my eyes and meditating for 5 minutes. You get the idea. Another tip that you may want to consider is writing out your top 3 stressors and responses and have them appear on your phone, on a locked screen of your phone, so that every time you pick up your phone, they're right there as a reminder. If you're not that sophisticated with technology, you may choose sticky notes instead. Maybe sticky notes on your computer monitor or on your bathroom mirror or on your refrigerator, just so that you have always on your mind the top 5 or the top 3, whichever it may be for you, if then scenarios, so that you remember what to do. You're constantly reminding yourself what to do if this stressor, this particular stressor, presents itself. The other key to your success is practice. Take some time once a day and practice the particular actions that you wrote down as what you would do when this particular set of stressors present themselves. So if one solution to your stressor was to do some breathing exercises, practice those every day. If another one was to close your eyes and get into a little meditation, do that. If another one was to stand up and stretch your body, then do that. Practice those actions so that your body and your mind are as familiar with them as possible. Because remember, practice makes better, and it makes it easier, and it makes you better at whatever you're practicing. So practice is key. Daily practice specifically. And lastly, I encourage you to do a little bit of feedback to yourself, or maybe journaling as a form of feedback. Once or twice a week, make a note of which of the if-then practices that you wrote out, that you put down on paper, you have actually used and they worked for you. If they haven't worked as well as you like, consider if it's simply because you need to practice more, or because there is a better response that you could be using instead to combat that particular stressor. Remember to give yourself some time. Success takes time and effort. Practice daily, but most importantly, be prepared. Empower yourself by writing out the 3 or 5 most common stressors and know which responses you will use each time these stressors present themselves. Practice, do a little feedback once or twice a week, and you will be that much stronger and more efficient in your response to stress. If you'd like to learn more about effective stress management, check out the links below.